watching while you sleep, holding you, lost inside every breath you breathe. I don't wanna live a day without you. I just wanna be the one that makes you happy.
Hey! Well, yesterday's video went a little bit off track. I wanted to discuss, or the thought on my mind at the time was to do with beliefs. And off I went on a tangent about pro-life and how I feel like the attitude is driven by religion. And that's another reason why I think religion is a detriment to the planet. Ultimately, that the human race is a threat to the survival of life on this planet unless we change our mentality and our attitude about how we interact with the rest of the world and other life on this planet. But I don't want to go off on yet another tangent this morning. I just wanted to try to finish my thought that I had yesterday. What really annoys me when I hear theists say to an atheist, "Oh, don't you believe in anything?" I hope if any theists are visiting my channel or watching my channel or watching other atheist videos, you're starting to understand maybe, or pick up on the fact that we feel passionately about a lot of different subjects, a lot of different things in the world and in our lives. Of course we believe in things. We believe in a lot of things. You know, I am very adamantly a believer that animals have a right to live and deserve to live, that wild animals have a right to live on this planet and have their habitat left alone. And that, you know what, when we fill up enough of our space that we need to go and push them out of their space, we've grown too much. Our population is grown too much, and it's up to us to curb our appetites, our desire to procreate. Now's the time. Okay, well, you know what? We've done what we were, go ye therefore and multiply, whatever, we've done that. Okay, so now what do? Do we continue to mindlessly breed like rabbits? I know I'm talking about pro-life more, but this is something I believe in very strongly. Or do we take a handle on ourselves and say enough is enough? People who think it's fun to have 20 children or have a litter instead of a baby, you know, just for media attention, I think that's just selfish and really very disgusting. I don't appreciate the fact that, you know, I didn't want kids initially because I didn't want to contribute to the overpopulation problem. And then I did want one child. I ended up not having any kids, and my one consolation is at least I have not contributed to what I consider to be a very serious problem. But how many of me, it would take 20 of me doing what I did, choosing not to have children, to make up, 19 rather, what is it, the Duggar family, who had 20 kids? You know, for every one of me, somebody else gets to have 2 kids instead of 1 kid, maybe, you know. But there's not enough of people like me that are just, okay, well, I'm not going to contribute to the problem. And there's a lot more people who think that it's perfectly okay to have a large family, even though there's statistics all over the place that talk about how people in this world are starving because there's not enough resources already. You know, in my lifetime, as I still have, well, I'm thinking maybe 30 more years if I'm lucky, is the population going to double again? It's more than doubled in 100 years. How much more of that can the planet take? How much more can this planet sustain? And what does it mean to other life on this planet? Are they just going to disappear? Is that okay? Is that okay? I mean, to me, the pleasure of living here is the world's the beauty. of the world, seeing birds in the sky and hearing insects and seeing a squirrel run up a tree, or going out in the woods, you might catch sight of a deer, or, you know, if you see a bear, hopefully it's far away, but I mean the possibility that you might see a bear, you know. I was really excited when I went to Yellowstone because I was hoping I might see a wolf. Unfortunately, they hadn't, I went like a year before they introduced the wolf pack, so I saw some coyotes though, and that was pretty exciting. Anyway, so this is something I feel very strongly about. I also feel very strongly about how society treats people with mental illness. That's something else that I feel very strongly about. I didn't so much before, but when I realized that it's been in my life my whole life and I didn't even know it. I did not know that my mom had paranoid schizophrenia until she got into her 80s and I was in my 40s. That's when I got to know. So my entire life has been colored by mental illness, and I didn't know. A friend kindly pointed out that I was damaged. Yeah, I suppose so. You know, everybody probably is to some degree. Somebody who's teased relentlessly in school might be damaged long term from that. I mean, we all have things that damage us that we have to rise above. Say, you know what, I can either let that have power over me indefinitely, or I can say, fuck that. You know, I'm better than that, and I know I'm better than that. Okay, so fine, I had a mom who was mentally ill. I grew up with very low self-esteem. But anyway, back to the point. Somebody wrote me recently about, you know, giving me the heads up about somebody that's, you know, that I've been dealing with who has mental illness. It's like, okay, you know what? People do. And people with mental illness need understanding and compassion. And, you know, they need friends too. You have to, it's hard to, but you have to look past the failings and see the person inside. See the person's heart. That's what I try to do with my mom. That's what I hope people do with me, because I understand that depression is a mental illness too. Anxiety is a mental illness too. But those are, compared to what my mother has, those are so minor. Depression, a lot of people in this world have it, and a lot of people have it and don't even know they do. It's a very common illness. Schizophrenia, like my mom has, isn't so common, but it is so life-destroying. But so when I think of mental illness, I think about people like my mom. And, well, myself too, I suppose, but to a way lesser degree. It's like, we don't ask to have an illness. You don't ask to become ill. You don't ask for it. You try to live as normally and happily as you can, despite the obstacles that get in your way. Isn't that what we all do anyway? It's the same with people with mental nervous or mental health problems. I'm sorry, mental nervous is an old term. When I first got into working at Aetna back in the 80s, that's what it was called, mental nervous. You have a mental nervous diagnosis. Now they call it mental illness or mental health. I don't know. I'm not up on the terms, but that term was what it was called in the 80s. So it came out. But anyway, we don't ask for it. And like anybody else who gets ill, you try to continue to live, adapt, adjust, get around it, try to compensate for it, and live as normally as you can, if there is such a thing as normal, and happily as you can. And people who point out other people who are having difficulties in that respect, and, oh, well, we should shun this person, or we should ridicule this person. They have enough trouble. My feeling is, if somebody's trying really hard to get better, they deserve support, just like any other person who's suffering from an illness deserves support. So that's something else I feel strongly about. I feel strongly about a woman's right to choose. I feel like if you take away somebody's right over their own body, you're basically making them property. You're making them something property. There's no other word for it. You're telling a woman that she's a free individual able to decide her own destiny and make her own decisions about her life, control the course of her life. Except when she gets pregnant, then she loses that right, and she basically becomes property of the state. Whether she likes it or not, she can't choose what happens to herself the moment she becomes pregnant. To me, this is a deplorable concept. It's an idea that is demeaning and dehumanizing as it gets. I don't care if you think having a baby or any unwanted pregnancy in the face of such overpopulation as we have on this planet is wrong or not. The fact is, the woman should have the right to decide. She should not have to have been raped to have that decision. She should not have to have her life in danger to be allowed to have that decision. If I got pregnant, which of course is impossible now, and I didn't want to bring a child into this world for the very reason that I don't think I want my child to grow up in a world where animals might become extinct, all of them, where the beauty on this planet might go away, all of it. I don't want to bring a child into that world. I should have the right to choose whether I bring that child into the world or not. I should have the right to decide if I want to contribute to the overpopulation problem already rampant in this world. That's my right. And taking that away from a woman is to take her humanity away and make her livestock. You might as well throw her in a box stall and throw her in some hay. And I think that is deplorable. And the people that consider that a lesser crime than killing a life before it's allowed to really start. I cannot wrap my head around that. You would rather take away a woman's humanity and her individuality, her personhood. You would take that away from a woman because you think that's worth less consideration than a few clusters of cells that are in her body that basically are parasites at that time in her because they rely on her completely, her body, her nutrients to live. You think that is more important than a woman's personhood, and I think that's despicable. That whole attitude is beneath contempt. So those are the three big things that I believe in, and there's a lot of little things too, and everybody has things they believe and feel passionately about. And just because somebody says they don't believe in God doesn't mean that they have no beliefs. It just means they have beliefs in other things. And maybe they even believe in an afterlife. Some atheists actually do believe that there might be an afterlife or a spirit world or some other dimension where there's a different kind of existence. I kind of lean that way because I've seen things that I can't explain in my life. But I don't think it requires a God, and certainly if there was a God, it wouldn't be the Christian God. It would be a God that wouldn't give a rat's ass about such trivial things as whether or not people worship it. So, anyway, I have to get going. I have an appointment, but I wanted to actually make a video about beliefs, which I tried to do yesterday, but I got sidetracked big time. So that's what I'm doing now. If you've listened, thank you very much. Bye.